Well, hello. We want to welcome you to our interview today, and I'm so grateful to get to be doing that. Um, we would love to celebrate in person, and Tony, this day deserves a lot more than what it's getting. We'll do that. We will come back, and Tony has already promised us that he will come and party with us one day and celebrate in a proper way. But we thought that this would be an opportunity to come and just share together, just some thoughts of reflections of a servant, somebody who served our church and served God for so many years. And we're trying to stay a little bit apart here. I'm no professional when it comes to cameras, so we hope that you'll be able to hear everything that goes on. But even though you've been here for 38 years, there are several people who are joining us today who may not know your story or may not, have been here for that whole time, who haven't been here for it all. And so with that in mind, I thought it would be helpful to just start with just tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of where did you grow up, where'd you go to school, get married, your decision to go into ministry, that kind of stuff.
I'm from Greer, South Carolina, about an hour from where I grew up. I was educated at Greer High School, North Greenville Junior College, Carson Newman, and the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary when they were teaching how to think rather than what to think. Becky and I got married in 1977. As a matter of fact, we celebrated our 43rd wedding anniversary on July 2nd this past week.
Woohoo! Well, how about your decision to go into ministry and specifically music ministry, and then your call here to First Baptist?
It happened at Caswell. Our church, Fairview Baptist Church in Greer, South Carolina, was on a retreat for the purpose of getting a musical together. The title of this particular musical was The Electric Church. It was an honor to be chosen to give the invitation at the end of the musical. I prayed to God with a certain petite blonde who would later become my wife that God would give me a sign that J.N. McFadden would ask me to give that invitation. He didn't, and I put it out of my mind and set my mind on the task of being a lawyer. Fast forward that story 1 year later to the Georgia Baptist Assembly at Toccoa Falls, and we were getting another musical together entitled Joy. Long story short, Mr. Mack called on me to give the invitation. He said the color drained out of my face, and I had trouble getting the words to say I'd be honored to do so. It so happened that the pastor of the First Fairview Baptist Church was on that trip, James Crocker. Pastor Crocker told me that I was putting a finite limitation on an infinite God. Because Becky was younger than me by 3 years and I wanted to stay close to home, I had already been accepted to North Greenville Junior College, which was a blessing. It was easy for me to switch my major to church music. The faculty at North Greenville Junior College took me under wing and mentored me every step of the way. You see, my only musical experiences were 3 years of piano as a child and junior high band. Of course, I could sing the solos in my church choir, and that's the rest of the story.
That's great. Well, so you didn't stay there though. You eventually made your way here to First Baptist Forest City, and so as you think back to your initial call here at First Baptist, maybe talk about that, coming here to First Baptist, and as best you recall, maybe some of those early years, and even maybe if there was an experience where you think about it, one of those memorable events where you found yourself saying, God is doing good things at First Baptist Forest City, this is the place that I want to be?
I served on staff at Broadway Baptist Church in Louisville with Scott Forrest. His wife at the time was Janet, the daughter of Amy Lou and Jack Stevens. Janet asked me if I would consider following a legend in the music ministry by the name of Clyde Buckner. I honestly didn't know that Forest City was on the map. Growing up in Greer, we tended toward Greenville rather than Spartanburg. And we came to interview the music committee, and we hit it off famously. That's what we call in Baptist circles define as being called. In the first year of my ministry here, the pastor was called to Pritchard Memorial in Charlotte in November. Then the minister of education was called to First Baptist Church, Concord. That began a series of interims where I doubled duty, totaling 11 years and 1 month in completion of my 38 years of service.
That's a lot.
Aside from the regular choir rehearsals, probably the greatest joy I found in my early ministry was Caswell. I was honored to be asked to conduct children's and youth choirs at our North Carolina Baptist Assembly. That was a highlight, probably because of the significance Caswell had on my call.
So that was the early years that you were here. As you stayed here, obviously the music here at First Baptist Church, honestly, is something that we are known for in the community, and it is a powerhouse among music ministry among churches. As you figured out what it took to build this ministry, obviously you have done it the right way, and so I wonder, what are the values that are on the top of your list when it comes to music ministry?
Continuing education, and First Baptist Church Forest City recognized that it was important. Moreover, they funded me with the resources and the time off to get one's continuing education. I have to mention the excellent resources offered by the American Choral Directors Association. Every winter, the annual conferences have been sacred on my calendar.
It's been obvious to me, Tony, as I hear you talk about the value of education, that you have translated that. That's one of the gifts I think that you have brought to this congregation. And honestly, if you ask the Stephen Carissa Harmons of the world, they would say the reason that they are in this church is, it's several, but their story is like other people's stories, is that you have taken that value of music education and you have brought it to our congregation, and you have translated that, and so it's valuable. What you have done is valuable. Well, related to that last question, when the music ministry here at First Baptist Church is going well, what are the characteristics? Like, what's happening in our music ministry when it's going well?
At the present time, the Rutherford Community Chorus and particularly Cheerful Voices are my highlights. And incidentally, it was at an ACDA conference that I got the idea of a special needs choir, because everybody deserves to have the opportunity to sing in a choir.
Yes. Well, what has been so significant to me, I will admit, is you're known here as the music guy, and that's certainly in your title. But your ministry has not been all, and I would say probably not even mostly been music. When you're a minister at a church of our size, it's hard to really specialize. You can't really specialize. And so when you think of the non-music related things, which you do all the time, what are the music related memories that you're going to treasure as part of your time here?
Seeing a child make a profession of faith and knowing that the parents are entrusting me with the development of that child's discipleship training, and then experiencing generational professions of faith.
That's so cool. I haven't had the opportunity to be at a church. I hope I do have an opportunity to be at a church long enough to be able to see those generational professions of faith. And speaking of generational kinds of things, when you think about your 38 years here, that covers more than one generation. Do you see that time here as a continuous kind of tenure, or have there been phases that when you think about your time here, are there phases? How do you kind of understand your time here?
Definitely phases. Tim Sharp is the executive director of the ACDA and former classmate and tennis partner of mine. Tim said that his experience has taught him that you have to reinvent yourself about every 7 years. That makes sense because that's a sabbatical year. And as I look over the past 38 years, I have reinvented myself. Just a different emphasis on the musical aspects of my job, never forsaking the sacred calling, and never forgetting that we are in the redemption business, not the music business, though we do it with the wonderful vehicle of music.
Tony, I absolutely love that response and love that answer. And as you know, I kind of had the opportunity to write the thing in the paper. That you said that to me when I first arrived here, and I have carried that with me, and I know that embodies your ministry in a special way. And there's lots of wonderful things I could say about you, but the fact that you would say that and believe that is really near the top of the list. I think that's just tremendous. Well, speaking of being in this redemption business and music being the vehicle to something that is larger, you're not only the music person here, but you have used that music as a vehicle as we talk about embodying the mystery of the grace of Jesus out into our community. And we talk about that, our whole church does that. But you have done it in particular ways. And so how have you integrated and used music as that vehicle for Jesus' grace out into the community for City at large?
As I have reinvented myself over the last 7 years with the Rutherford Community Chorus and Cheerful Voices, I've served on various boards such as Yokefellow, United Way, and the Rutherford Housing Partnership. I've also served denominationally on the Faith Leadership Council of CBFNC, where you and I met.
We did.
And the General Board of the Baptist State Convention of North Carolina, where I served a term on the Executive Committee.
Those are good memories, I know. Well, here's what we would say. When we talk about music in general and your ministry here, it's more than just music. It really is a holistic ministry. And what we know about ministry is that ministry at its core, it boils down to people. That's what ministry is about. It boils down to people. And so when you think about the people, first of all, we'll talk about the people that have poured into you. And I'll ask you further in just a moment. But as far as the people that have poured into you, those influences that you have had in your life and in your career and in your ministry, who are the names that come to mind, some of your significant influences?
The aforementioned J.N. McFadden and James Crocker and Tim Sharp. At North Greenwood Junior College, Alice Garrett, Richard Kennedy, Harold Newman, and Jackie Griffith. Carson Newman College, Tom Teague, Sandy Skeens, Bill Blevins, Lewis Ball, Mary Charlotte Ball, James Pethel, and Southern Baptist Theological Seminary. Richard Lynn is at the top of the list, Hugh McElrath and Don Husted. And all of the youth and children I have worked alongside of. Youth teaches age.
What a beautiful way to say that. In fact, we were just, before Tony and I started this, we were just talking about how we call our congregation members sometimes to give them a word of inspiration or a word of hope, and we get off the phone thinking, wow, they've inspired us and made us who we are. It's a beautiful word.
Yep.
So those are some of the folks that have poured into you, but ministry is a team effort, right? Ministry is not just something that you do on your own. So I was wondering if you might tell us maybe about some memorable folks or some memories that you have with choirs. Obviously, you've spent a lot of time with choirs, and maybe some memorable staff experiences or folks you remember from both the choir perspective and the staff perspective, just memories or experiences that you might remember.
Well, at the top of the list is the Brahms Requiem, and there's not a close second. The whole experience, from the rehearsals, the extra rehearsals on Saturday mornings, the performance in Forest City where we had the joint choirs of First Baptist Church Shelby and First Baptist Church Henderson, and the performance in Avery Fisher Hall under the direction of Milburn Price, and looking and seeing Mark Hopper with a tear in his eye when we struck the first chord in Avery Fisher Hall. You see, Mark had begun his career as an organist at First Baptist Church, and he honed his skills into what has made him become one of the most respected church musicians anywhere. And it all began at First Baptist Church as a student.
What about some of those, I don't know if you have any or not, but some of those memorable staff, I don't know if you have any staff comments.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention Diane Nelson and the wonderful relationship that we have had over the past 25 years. She knows my thoughts before I even know in rehearsals. She has a keen sense of humor at the keyboard. I'll miss the closing song to the old Carol Burnett song as the choir leaves the rehearsals. I'm so glad we had this time together. For that matter, the entire staff is as strong and capable and compassionate as any that I have served with in my tenure here. I leave with the assurance that First Baptist Church is in fine hands.
Well, we appreciate that, and I would certainly echo on behalf of Diane and Carissa and Rachel and Kathy, what an amazing staff we work with, and ministry is a team effort. So I would echo those words. Well, I want to ask you one more question, kind of related to the people that you think about. What's it been like? And you mentioned this earlier, but what's it been like to minister to multiple generations in the same congregation, to be able to see some of those same folks, generationally be baptized and come to faith?
Very short answer. It is the ultimate reward.
That's fantastic. Are there any small things, tiny moments that might not register as a grand story, but will be good memories for you?
Just the great theological truth that you're 5 minutes early or you're late.
Theology. Well, what do you think are some, as you think about what's ahead for us? I mean, you'll be on a beach in Florida with your grandbaby, so I don't know how much this will be on your brain. Maybe not quite as much as at the forefront as it has always been. But what are, as you think about kind of what's ahead, if you look down the road, what are some challenges that you see us having to that we First Baptist Church will face in the future?
Obviously, the pandemic and when it will be safe to resume that which I have devoted my life to. That is choral music and congregational singing. But under the current leadership of First Baptist Church, I feel confident that we will come out on the other side more focused on the task of being the church of the living God.
Well, I appreciate that as far as I would be concerned, and on behalf of all of us who are in leadership at First Baptist, that is certainly my deepest hope. As you think about the assets that we have, the strengths that we have to help us get to where it is that we're going, what assets do you see that we have that are helping us make a difference in the world?
First Baptist Church has strong leadership. Our financial resources are good. We've kept pace with the previous years during the pandemic.
Well, Tony, I certainly appreciate your time. Is there any closing message that you would like to deliver for us, or is there any closing message that you have that you'd like to let us know about?
As I look over the past 38 years at First Baptist Church, of worship, choir anthems and programs, children's musicals, choir camps, choir festivals, family night meals, live nativities, Easter services, hospital and nursing home visits, weddings, births, and funerals, we have spent a lot of time together as a church family. We've laughed and cried, worshiped and celebrated together. It has been an honor and a privilege for me to be part of your lives at First Baptist Church. Many of you have asked, are you going to be moving to Florida? The answer is no. We have made too many deep and abiding friendships to leave this place. You have become our family. This is not what any of us would have envisioned for my last Sunday with you. But when the time is right, when we feel comfortable with hugging and shaking hands, I will be back for one last hoorah.
Well, Tony, thank you for your time today. Thank you for engaging me in my little experiment. I appreciate that. Thank you most of all for what you have given to this community and what you've given to this church and what you have given most of all to Jesus Christ.
It has been my honor.
I know it has, my friend. I know it has. Well, we love you, and on behalf of all those people who want to hug you and want to say thank you, I'm going to say thank you right now. We will celebrate. We will come back together. We will do it right for one hurrah.
When we can have a choir.
When we can have that's exactly right.
When it's safe to sing.
When it's safe to sing, I look forward to doing that. But
Until then, Godspeed your journey, my friend. May the Lord bless you and keep you. And we look forward to. Listen, you're not going away. He's staying here in Forest City. The announcement has been made. He's taking his talents to Holly Hills, and so they're already there. That's where they're staying. But we're grateful for it, and we look forward to having you around, at least staying in town, and maybe we can buy some bread from you along the way.
Yeah.
If that sounds good.
Play some golf.
Yeah, there you go. Well, we love you, Tony. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Bless you.